South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol is facing an impeachment vote later this week following his declaration of martial law yesterday. He was forced to lift it 6 hours later when the National Assembly voted unanimously to overturn it. Now, the last time martial law was imposed in South Korea was in 1980, 7 years before the country transitioned from a military dictatorship to a democracy. Now, considering how South Korea has been hailed as a success story in democracy building, and also, you look back, the church has grown significantly in South Korea, Christianity. What's happening over there? Where did these events come from? And what does this tell us about the future? Join me now to discuss this is Asian affairs expert Gordon Chang. He's a distinguished senior fellow at the Gatestone Institute and author of several books, including his latest, Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America. You can follow him on X under the handle @GordonG.Chang. Gordon, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thanks so much, Tony.
All right, so where did this come from? Give us a little background on what's been taking place there in South Korea. This was a conservative president. What's happening?
Well, Yoon Suk-yeol was extremely unpopular for his domestic affairs. And clearly there have been so many issues, including, for instance, one that has attracted a lot of attention. His wife getting photographed accepting a very expensive couture handbag. But it was just one disaster after another. Now, this is the same Yoon Suk-yeol who has been a hero of freedom in North Asia. He very bravely, to his great detriment in terms of popularity in South Korea, but this was a profile and courage moment. He started coordinating with Japan at the insistence of the United States. Now, previous South Korean presidents had refused to do that because they realized how unpopular it was, but Yoon put himself on the line, and that helped to build a coalition to contain a very aggressive North Korea and a very aggressive China. But Yoon decided that he was going to do something which was unimaginable, which is declare martial law. He did it incompetently. He rescinded it, as you pointed out, after 6 hours, and he is going to have to resign. If he's not going to resign, he's probably going to be impeached on Friday or Saturday, and that will cause a crisis in South Korea.
What might that mean for the United States as we have a transition of administrations here, Donald Trump coming in, a conservative? What does the future look like there?
It doesn't look good, Tony. And the reason is that the conservative forces have always been very pro-America. The progressive or the leftist camp has been very anti-America. And for instance, Yoon's immediate predecessor, Moon Jae-in of the Democratic Party of Korea, a leftist, was essentially governing like a North Korean. And he did all as possible to undermine the alliance with the United States. So, for instance, when President Trump visited Seoul during his first term, Moon did all he could to disrespect not only President Trump, but the United States of America. This could go back to a very difficult time because this will embolden the North Koreans and the Chinese. And we know that with a weakened president or a prime minister who will become president, then you have a point where the North Koreans may think they can use their leverage in South Korean society through the unions to try to change the form of governance in South Korea.
Now, Yoon had said that he was taking these actions of martial law in part because of the influence of North Korean communists. Is there evidence that there's been infiltration?
Oh, yes. I mean, it's clear. And everyone knows it. The Democratic Party of Korea is heavily infiltrated by North Koreans. And as I mentioned, Moon Jae-in, the last leftist president, governed as if he were a North Korean asset. But that doesn't mean that Yoon should have done what he did, which was to declare martial law, because that was going to be always extremely unpopular. There had been talk about martial law in the months leading up to this, but nobody thought that it would actually occur because it was just inconceivable. Yoon made it conceivable, and he's going to pay the price for it.
We only got about 45 seconds left, Gordon, but the church has grown significantly and been a major factor in South Korea. What has happened there? Has something happened with the church-state relationship or the influence of the church?
The church is still very strong in Korea. And it was not only just South Korea. The church was strong in North Korea as well before the Kim regime. And there are still Christian communities in North Korea. In South Korea, the church is doing fine, and I think it will prosper. And this is a good story for Christianity in Asia.
All right. Gordon Chang, always great to talk with you. Always appreciate your insights on what's happening.
Thank you so much, Tony.